Hello everyone and welcome to another exclusive interview on the Financial Insight platform. I'm your host Mwelwa Chibesakunda, and joining me for this particular discussion is Emmanuel Chilombo of Enterprise Power. Emmanuel, how are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's always wonderful to engage with the folks from Enterprise Power, and it's such an exciting time. It's the earlier part of the year. We're just coming out of the flagship event that starts the year, Mining in Daba. Now, maybe just to give our viewers some perspective, your company obviously operates in the power trading sector. Are you able to just give us a summary of what the power markets are looking like right now, especially within the regions that you operate in?
Right. Thanks, Mwelwa, and thanks for having us. Yes. So. It goes without saying, especially for Zambia, that the power sector in the region is facing some serious challenges. In Zambia, we are currently experiencing a supply shortage, weather-driven, and obviously that has opened up a lot of, we've had to think about, the way power is supplied. We've had to look at various strategies of, not just resolving the issue now. How do we plug this power supply shortage from now on, from now into the future? So we've had to think about both the immediate, to resolve the immediate, as well as to think about the medium to the long term. So the power market in Southern and Central Africa is, as you may know, managed under the framework of the SAP, the Southern African Power Pool, of which Enterprise Power, I'm happy to say, is a member of. And within the SAP, what that does, then it allows members of the SAP to buy and sell power in the region. You could be producing electrons in South Africa and supplying to a mine in the DRC or to a boarding school in northern Zambia. Okay, so this is how the power market is propped up. Obviously, mainly driven by the power utilities. Each country in the region has got a power utility. In the case of Zambia, we have ZESCO, and in DRC, we have SNEL. But now we are very excited that both the governments of Zambia and DRC have been proactive in introducing policies that open up the energy space. Hence, companies like ours are able to participate. I think we've seen a mushroom of power trading companies in Zambia, both in Zambia and the DRC, and in South Africa.
Oh, is that so?
Only in the last 2 years. So that is a very important aspect of the power management. What this then does is, for example, with the crisis that we're experiencing in Zambia, in past times, we would only look, as a country, would only look at ZESCO to provide the solutions. But now this challenge has been extended to private players to also come in, and I'm happy to report that the private players in Zambia are actually supporting ZESCO significantly to be able to manage the current power supply shortage. The same is happening in other regions, but yes, I would like to stick to Zambia for now.
Right. Now, obviously, one of the things that we've also observed is the evolution of energy regulation around the region, especially in Zambia. How important is having a stable electricity supply regulatory framework for companies such as yourself?
Oh, this is important, Mwelwa. I mean, without open regulation. I mean, in Zambia, the government recently introduced the open access, which regulation entails that it simply facilitates the use of the limited transmission capacity that exists in the, not only in Zambia, but in the region. What that means is that, for example, we have a supply shortage right now. more than 70% of the power that is being utilized in Zambia to date, I mean, these numbers are changing every day, is coming from outside Zambia. Now, coming out from outside Zambia means, you would, ZESCO, all the private players are required to buy power from Mozambique, from Namibia, from Botswana, and this power requires to be, you need to transmit those electrons into the country. So if you have a policy such as open access, what it does then is that it does not limit the infrastructure to be used by one player. It opens up, as long as you have a deal on the supply side, you have a deal on the demand side, then you agree a willing agreement. And if you obviously, again, what that does is that it provides options, and it makes the power trading cost effective, because as you may know, in every business or in every industry, when you have competitors, or when you have options to make one particular decision, then everybody will be looking out for the best price. So it does help a lot in that area.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the Minister of Finance, Minister of Energy, as well as key stakeholders in Zambia recently announced that there's a 12% increase in copper production. One would imagine that obviously for us to have that quantum increase, it means that there's more energy demand. You obviously speak to several power developers. Would you say that things like signals, that is signaling that we're going to see more power developers coming on board with power projects?
Right. That's a very good question. I think the first point I'd like to put out there is to mention that there is no mining without energy. I'm a former miner myself. I spent almost 20 years in mining. Right. So it's very clear to me that without energy, there's no mining. What's happening to the sector? Look, I mean, I think one thing a crisis does is that it helps you think out of the box. Okay. Right now, we as Enterprise Power are looking at developing. So we're getting into the game of not just trading power, but also investing in the value chain of power trading. Okay. So instead of just looking at supply and demand side, we're actually getting involved in building the infrastructure that transmits the electricity. So, Mwelwa, I'm happy to say we are the developers of a very exciting project. This is, we're calling it the Kalumbila Kolwezi Interconnector Project, which will link Zambia to the DRC. Now, what this does then is that with a project like this, for you to move power from one place to the other, you need a source. And for you to have a source in a climate that we're in right now, which is a shortage climate, you need alternative supply. And with alternative supply, you see a lot of IPPs coming through. So in Zambia, you have solar IPPs, you have wind energy IPPs on top of the mini hydros that a lot of companies are looking at. Now, what you see is that for a long time, and it takes time to do projects like this. So a lot of these projects have been sitting on a table somewhere, being development processes happening, concepts being put together, but you see very few of them actually coming to finalization. Why? Because somebody out there needs to fund the project. And that somebody who needs to fund the project requires some form of guarantee.
Correct.
Now, for you to get a guarantee to implement a project like that, you need somebody to offtake that power upfront before you actually start executing the project. So this is where a company like us come in. So with a transmission project like ours, we're able to say, look, in the good times, a country like Zambia with its installed capacity has excess capacity. So you have this transmission line that could move electrons from Zambia into the DRC. But in bad times, like the way we have, you would need to source this power from elsewhere. Now, that elsewhere is your IPPs as well. So the IPPs, we're sort of throwing a lifeline to the IPPs by providing them with these offtake agreements. Then they take these offtake agreements and they give that to their financiers to guarantee the project to move forward. So I think that, yeah, it's exciting times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you've talked about the Kolwezi Solwezi, project that you're highly involved in. Many of our viewers would always wonder, when they hear project, they think impact. What sort of impact, especially from a social and economic perspective, will this project have?
Excellent. That's a good question, Mwelwa. So we, as I said before, projects like this take long. Okay, it's not something you dream of overnight. And no, so one of the things we believe in as a company is to have social license to operate. So when we see an opportunity like the one we identified, we know that we need to build a transmission line emanating from an area where there are communities and landing into another area where there are communities and passing through areas where other communities are. So one of the first things we did was, obviously we had to know where we would locate this project. Once we understood, by knowing, we knew generally that the project will run from the northwest of Zambia into the DRC, in Kolwezi in the DRC. So then we go on the ground. We send our experts. We've got community and social experts. We've got environmental experts to try and understand what's on the ground. Okay. Mwelwa, this is 2025. We started this exercise back in 2018.
Wow.
If you speak to the chiefs in Northwestern Province whose communities are impacted, they know me by first name.
Wow.
Okay. We are talking about Chief Kakoma, Senior Chief Sailunga, and Senior Chief Musele. Those are the areas where our stakeholders are.
Yeah, and they're very important, for the success and even commencement of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've walked this journey with the communities. We've walked this journey with the chiefs, and I must say, I'm also proud to say that part of our community and social work, as well as the environmental work, were done under the supervision of the World Bank through the IFC. We signed 2.5 years ago. We signed a mandate with the IFC to participate in this project. And as you may know, I mean, when you talk World Bank or IFC standards, they're up there in terms of comparison. So it was very interesting and very important for us to observe that after the IFC sent its team of experts, we ticked most of the boxes. Obviously, there were gaps, and that was very helpful. So we had to send our people back to close these gaps, and came back with results that were satisfactory to the World Bank standards. Now, zeroing into the communities, Mwelwa, I mean, we've had these conversations not only with the chiefs. We've worked very closely with the at district level. We've worked very closely with the municipalities at provincial level. If you go and ask about the Kalumbila Kolwezi Interconnector project in Northwestern Province, all the stakeholders at those levels would be able to tell you what it is, because this is how much time we've invested. We've come up with a very comprehensive, together with the communities, a list of projects that we're going to implement. And it's also very important to mention that we've actually tiered the project, where we talk about the projects we will execute before we actually start the construction of the project. There are projects that will be executed during the construction of the project. And we have projects, sustainable projects, that will be executed after we've finished the construction. Right. And this has not been just our decision. This is something we sat down with the community. We agreed on what kind of projects we were looking at. We put across a very comprehensive budget to be able to execute these projects. And yeah, so we're very excited. We're looking forward to it. I mean, this is a project. At any one time, at its maximum, we'll be employing about 1,200 people, and our focus is on the communities, both on the Zambian side, on the DRC side.
Wonderful, wonderful. So this, I mean, this is obviously quite exciting. Are you able to share maybe some timelines in terms
Absolutely.
of when?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we started conceptualizing this project back in 2018. We finally got the approval permits, environmental and social permits back in August 2022. So if you can appreciate the timeline from 2018 to that's about 4 years of work put in actively on the ground. We then went on to obtain the construction permit from the Energy Regulation Board that allows us to actually mobilize on site and start the build. Thereafter, we got the implementation agreement from the government of Zambia, and on the DRC side, we got a concession agreement as well. Where we are at now, we have actually just concluded the procurement of the main contractor for the project, which we'll be announcing very soon. This is the engineering, what we call it EPC in this type of projects. Stands for engineering, procurement, and construction. We are looking at a groundbreaking ceremony in the next 6 weeks, which we expect to be a very big occasion. Our chiefs have informed us that they've actually invited on the Zambian side His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema to be the guest of honor. We are very excited about that. I think we'll also be graced with the ministers from the DRC side. So yes, so I think from a timeline perspective, having said that, we are actually anticipating breaking ground as early as April this year, just after the end of the rainy season. We expect to take 24 months to build this project, after which we will commence operations probably by the second quarter of 2027. It's a massive project. What this project does is that there is existing transmission of energy between Zambia and DRC. Okay, and this goes back to probably the first question that you asked. So what this project does is it introduces additional capacity for electrons to flow between DRC and Zambia. I mean, I don't have to mention the economic impacts of that, whether you're talking about tax or the revenue generated from wheeling this power through the two countries, which I think is what both governments of the DRC and Zambia are speaking to in terms of economic evolution.
All right. Yeah. Now, at this year's Mining Indaba, there was the critical minerals conversation. Your project and critical minerals, would you say that this project is just coming at the right time?
Oh, that's absolutely. I mean, as you may know, in Zambia, Your Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema has set a target of 3 million tons by 2030, which is a very achievable target, and we are in line to support that. As I mentioned before, there's no mining without energy. So all the work that's being done in the background, whether you're looking at the generation that's going to be supported with a transmission line like ours, or you're looking at the interconnector that is being funded by the World Bank between Tanzania and Zambia, the timing couldn't be any better. This is the time. You want more energy flowing in the region. You want more energy flowing. I mean, in the DRC, our clients have been putting projects on hold for a long time. Oh, wow. Hence the business rationale for increasing capacity, transmission capacity in the region.
Absolutely. Now, Emmanuel, thank you so much for sharing some critical insights. And, we look forward to learning a bit more and hopefully participating in the activities around the commissioning of the construction of the Kolwezi-Solwezi transmission line.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So you've heard it for yourself, an exclusive from Enterprise Power. This has been Mwelwa Kenneth speaking to Emmanuel from Enterprise Power. So continue to follow the insights on all our platforms and learn more about Enterprise Power and the work that it's doing and the impact that it's having on communities. This has been Mwelwa Kenneth in Cape Town. Get to know.